Hey there, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the practice of being human. And welcome to the conversation today that's been, I think, brewing for a while for me. And it's around 10 free habits. Free. I said free, and I mean it. Free habits that help us human better. And really, it came to fruition because of a conversation I heard. A Stanford physician, actually, she was talking about metabolic health. And so I was listening to her, and it was really fascinating what she had to say about why so many people feel tired and foggy and inflamed and just not well in their bodies. And what struck me was that the solutions she was naming were not that fancy, and they weren't expensive, and they're not out of reach, but they're very simple, some ancient, and all available habits. And as I was listening, I was like, okay, some of these I haven't even thought of for myself, but I can easily implement them. And I would want to share this information with my people. But then I was like extrapolating from this to just like the tools and the skills that we talk about in the practice of being human. And there's so many crossovers because this conversation that I was hearing with this physician was about metabolism. And underneath it, it's about how we're metabolizing life. So it's like, how are we metabolizing what it is to be human? And also, how is our body metabolizing what we're consuming or not? And so, what does it mean to live well in a human body? And what does it mean to support a healthy human nervous system? Because I think the more we understand the simplicity to these practices, the more we can start practicing them, utilizing them, doing them on a daily basis. We live in a world that takes us and removes us from believing that the answer is inside of us and is always telling us the next thing, the next fix, the next supplement, the next pill, the next something to fill the void, fill the need, help us feel better, when really feeling better is such an inside job. And so much of the medicine that we think we need out there is actually in here. So, we're going to talk about what it is to consider the habits that help us human better. And like I said, they're free. And yes, they support metabolic health, but they also support energy, clarity, rhythm, regulation, and a more grounded way of being alive, of being human. Because your body, my friends, is not broken. Your humanity is not broken. But I think modern life has done a very good job of confusing the system. So let's talk about the habits, all right? Habit one, simple, walk after meals. And I love starting here because it is so simple and so doable. Walk after you eat. That's it. Not to punish yourself, not to earn your food, not to prove anything, not to burn, 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 but it's supporting your body in doing what it was beautifully designed to do. The body was made to move, not sit for 10 hours and then try to undo it with one workout. One hardcore workout isn't going to be as good for us as maybe moving our body every hour or after every meal. That's even more effective, believe it or not, than being sedentary the rest of the day. Crazy, I know. And I'm a believer because I have been behind a screen. I have been on calls and meetings from morning till night and not moved my body. And I have felt it, and I'm not doing it anymore. I am getting up and I am moving my body wherever and whenever I can. The body was made to move. And I think this applies emotionally because feelings want movement. They need movement to be processed, right? Our body needs to process a feeling, and we need to move the body in order to do that, right? Energy wants movement, and stagnation breeds heaviness. So sometimes a short walk. And for me, it's a 5 minute round the loop in front of my house. It's wooded, it's gorgeous, it's simple, it's fast. And after a meal, it does more to help my body metabolize food. And I'm like, well, that's a win. And I also feel better because I'm outside, I get fresh air. And it's also helping me metabolize life. It's helping me process and think a little differently and breathe a little differently, a little more deeply. So it clears something, it softens something, and it brings me back to myself. So, my friends, walk after you eat, okay? And let your body remember what it was made for. Habit 2, eat real food most of the time. This one feels foundational. And again, this is one that I haven't always been so good at. I eat often for convenience and something quick, and maybe not something that I have prepared, but I might grab. Okay. When you think about eating food that your body recognizes, food that comes from Mother Earth, food that probably your great grandmother would recognize, this is food with life in it, right? This is real food. And there's something deeply regulating about real food. And why? Because it nourishes, it grounds, it communicates safety and satiety to the body. I think that's a word that when you're satiated, it offers this sense of fullness to the body, and fullness in a way that it's nourished, it's fed. Processed food, on the other hand, like so much of modern life, it often leaves us craving more, right? It's like, or we burn it so fast, we need something else to replace it. And we're always wanting more flavor, more stimulation, more reward, more intensity of something. And I think it ironically mirrors so much of the modern human experience because we do this with food, but we do this with media. We do this with scrolling, with busyness, noise, approval, digital input, output, all of that. We are consuming things that are engineered. And these engineered things, what do? They keep us wanting for more, but not from a nourishing place, not from a fortifying place. It's like it's something, it's insatiable. We can't get enough of it. And I think one of the great questions of adulthood, of being a human, is this: what truly nourishes me and what only stimulates me? That question is power. If you start paying attention to what is truly nourishing versus what is just stimulating, that's a powerful question you can ask in every area of your life, because real nourishment is often simpler. It's quieter. It's less flashy. It's less glitzy. It's not dressed perfectly, but it is infinitely more sustaining. So go for the sustaining, not the stimulating, wherever you can. Habit 3, create more spaciousness around eating. And I love this one because it's about allowing the body space. It needs rest. It needs to be able to reset. And not eating from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. This is good because it allows the body to work with what it already has. But if it's constantly consuming and metabolizing all the time, it can't keep up. So to not constantly consume, but to allow it time to respond, and then to allow for more consumption and then metabolizing, is the creating of space. It's this very wise way of nourishing our bodies. And I think this is bigger than food, right? Because I think we are living in a time of constant access. We have at our fingertips something to eat at all times. We also have constant input. We have constant availability. We have constant stimulation with our phones, with our computers, with our screens. We're constantly kind of being accessible. And when we don't leave much room for anything more, and we're not taking the pause, and we're not giving ourselves the gap and the breath and the empty space, that doesn't allow for healing. It doesn't allow for metabolization. The body needs room for it to reset. It needs room to settle. It needs room for the wisdom to rise in us. Sometimes healing comes not from adding more, but allowing more room. And what I mean by this, if you think about room for the body to reset, or for the mind to settle, or for wisdom to rise, and maybe it's for desire to become clear. We don't need to be consuming all the time to get those things, right? We don't need food. We don't need content and noise and opinions and dopamine on a consistent, constant basis. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is make a little more space. And that is where grace often lives. So I often say to people, the sacred space, create it, make room for it on a daily basis. And this isn't just between food consumption. This is any kind of consumption that you have going on. Make space and create grace or space for grace. Okay. Habit 4, don't confuse normal with well. And I appreciate this because even in the blood work results that I get, the numbers that they give me are based on is it's a kind of a disease model. So, okay, you're not in disease mode, so you're good. But what's optimal versus what is normal? I'd rather go with what is optimal and work towards that versus what they're telling me is normal, right? Because what's normal isn't probably in my highest and greatest good. It's probably not the best. And this one really stayed with me because it is so true in the body as it is true in life. A person can be functioning and still not be well. We all know this. We can be productive and still not be nourished. And we can be high achieving and still lonely, inflamed, anxious, depleted, and disconnected. So I think many people live in this gap. And that gap is between crisis and flourishing. It's between surviving and truly living, being conscious, being present. It's the gap between fine and deeply well. Because when we're not falling apart, we assume this is normal. This is just life. This is just adulthood. This is just parenting or success or stress, or this is just what happens. And I'm here to say, maybe some of what we've normalized is not health. It's not our optimal. It might be normal, and maybe it is common, but common is not always healthy. Normal in our culture is to be distracted. Normal in our culture is to be exhausted. Normal is to be on our phones all the time. Normal is to be accessible at every moment of every day. Normal is to ignore our body, to rush, to numb, to feel like we're behind. That is normal. But normal is not the same thing as whole, as alive, as free, as nourished. And I think part of the practice of being human is asking, what if I don't want to live at the level of normal anymore? If I know that there is a different level that I want to go for and I want to lean towards and I want to do whatever I can to access that level, which is more the optimal level, we all have the ability to work towards that if we even knew what the heck that was. But what if I want to live at the level of truth and vitality and presence and integrity? Those are the questions to ask, right? Those are what help us lean more into the optimal. So habit 5 is protect sleep. Like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, my friends, it does. Sleep is not lazy, it's not extra, and it is not something to earn once everything else is done. Here's the great thing I heard about sleep one time. They said it's like giving your body, your brain, your mind, your everything a shower. It's like a nightly shower. And without it, we move into our new days unshowered and we're not feeling so great, right? For good reason. Sleep is repair, it's restoration, it's recalibration. It helps us feel good. And it's one of the most sacred things the body does. And I think we underestimate that. And we don't keep and hold that sacred. We don't keep the practice of good sleep and what that means, what that entails at the forefront, right? We end up, getting lost into our phones or being on screens until early hours of the morning. And then we fall asleep exhausted, and then we awake and we're still depleted. We're still tired. Why? Because we are not doing what we need to be doing to nourish, to repair, to restore, to shower. And here's the thing about sleep. We can't borrow from sleep and pay it back later. We treat it like it's optional. And here's the thing. When we override the body's rhythms and then wonder why we feel foggy and edgy and reactive and depleted, that's why. We're not listening. We're not honoring. We're not tending to what is so sacred. Sleep is like this kind of surrender. I love to think of it like that because at the end of the day, your body says and is able to say, let go now. Stop trying so hard. Stop managing everything. Shelve it. If you have a higher power, I always hand it to God. I'm like, you take it for the next 8 hours. I need to rest, restore. I'll pick it back up in the morning. But somehow, some way, offer yourself that gift. And when we honor that, something profound happens. The body does exactly what the body knows to do. Honor it. Let rest be medicine, and let sleep count as real work, my friends. It's your shower, so take it every day. Okay? Habit 6, use different kinds of movement. So I love this reminder because we need different types of exercise because each one of our exercise, whatever we're doing, whatever medium we're using, whether it's strength or endurance or intensity or mobility, for instance, it's unique and it's working something unique for us. Each one is not a replacement of the other. It's a supplement, it's a augment, it's an and in the picture of our overall wellness. And I immediately thought that, oh my gosh, when you think about that, this is what is happening internally as well. We need different inner muscles. And I say this to my clients all the time. You need strength to hold discomfort. You need endurance to stay with growth over time. You need intensity to sometimes break through the inertia, the procrastination, that sense of stuckness and not getting real action, momentum, being proactive, generative. And we need flexibility. That muscle flexibility, it helps us soften, adapt, pivot. It's an important muscle to have in life and being human. And a well-lived life is not built from one muscle, right? And neither is a healthy body. And sometimes people get so caught in perfection around exercise, and this is similar in life. If they can't do the ideal workout, what happens? They don't do it at all, right? It's the all or nothing thinking. It's the perfectionist fantasy that keeps us in this place of believing just tomorrow we'll do it, but we don't take action today. And I always say to people, start and start again. Start small. You do not need to do all or nothing, but start. That is going to, over time, progress into the bigger things. But if you're waiting to do it just right, you're never going to get there. So start and then rinse and repeat. So here's the invitation, my friends. Walk, lift when you can, stretch, breathe, move in ways that build capacity. And let that remind you that your inner life needs practice too. Let that remind you that your insides need the strength workout and the training and the reps and the practice, just like your outsides do. So we don't just build strength in a gym. We build it every time we tell the truth. We build it every time we do the brave thing. We do it every time we stay with something we would rather avoid because God knows there's a lot of things we all want to avoid. But instead we go through. We don't go around. And every time we get back up. Okay? All right. Habit 7. Get morning sunlight. This has been game-changing for me. And this one I think almost feels poetic to me because I don't necessarily go outside every morning, but I do pull up a chair in my sunroom. I open the sliding doors. I bring my coffee and I sit in the sun, if we have it, which would be lovely. Not always the case, but still morning light, or even if it's coming up in the sky, I still can access it. I resource it by just drinking it in. It feels differently than having the doors closed. When you open, you access source, the outdoors, fresh air, and the light. You get the sunlight in your eyeballs. We all need it. No screens, no sunglasses, the real thing. So whether you go outside in the morning or you're hanging out and you got, the door open, let the light hit your eyes. Let your body register the day. We are not machines, and we are rhythm-based beings, and we're living organisms. We're part of nature, source. And often we forget this, but it doesn't change what is true. So get back to source, get back to the truth. And morning light helps the body orient. It says, here we are. This is morning. This is the beginning of the day, a fresh start. Let's go, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I love you. And I think there's something deeply human about starting with light instead of a screen. And for so long, I was doing the screen thing. I'd get my coffee and then I'd fire up my computer and I'd get to work. And now I'm like, no, take the pause, the sacred pause, create the space, bring in the grace. So starting with reality instead of reaction, starting with the real thing, right? Allowing my nervous system to just kind of calibrate and ground. Start with the sky instead of the scroll. I like that, right? And start with breath instead of urgency. And then maybe, just maybe, part of what we have lost is not just sunlight, but it's almost this orientation spiritually, because we wake up and what we typically do is enter into comparison and messages and demands and headlines and urgency and performance. And I was getting like the New York Times breaking news kinds of things. And I was like, all right, enough already. I'm going to check that later in the morning, not first thing. First thing, I'm getting some sunlight in my eyeballs. I'm opening those doors. I'm going to hold my delicious cup of coffee. I'm going to sip that mama, and I'm going to enjoy engaging with a new day. So here's my offering. Instead of starting with a screen, begin with light and let the day meet you more gently. There is something so medicinal in morning light, and there is medicine in remembering that you, my friend, are a creature of the earth. You are human. So do human things, fill human needs with the real stuff. Okay? Habit 8. Just a few more, but aren't these good? Let nature do some of the work. This was originally, I just want to say, about fiber and supporting the body's own mechanisms around hunger and blood sugar and fullness. So I'm a believer. Fiber is essential. It is important, and it is something I both put in my coffee and I consume with real food. But what I love most was this deeper reminder about fiber and about how it helps regulate our hunger, blood sugar, fullness. The body already has intelligence, and nature, it already holds wisdom. So the system is not empty or helpless. It knows things. It's so wise. Listen to it. And I think sometimes we live as if our bodies are not very wise, and we need to hack them or override them or manage or bully them into functioning. Or we're just disappointed in our bodies and we don't treat them well. But here's the thing about the body. You are your body is you. The body has wisdom, my friend. The gut has wisdom. The gut has a brain just like the mind has a brain. The heart has a brain. The gut, the body, the nervous system, they are all so wise. Their data was soul. And nature supports that, my friends. And here's the thing. Real food, plants, water, light, air, cold, rest, beauty, connection, all of it. Nature is the gift. It is not a luxury. It is regulatory. And it is luxurious when we access it and we truly utilize it for what it's here to do. And the same is true relationally and emotionally. Think about a walk with a friend or a meal at a table or a deep breath when you go outside. I know I breathe differently. The moment I walk out the door, I take a breath. It's a cry, a hand on your heart, or a hand on your head and your heart. Like I was talking to a client yesterday, just put your hand on your head and on your heart to regulate, to breathe, to come back, to center. And she did that. A moment of silence. These things, they matter. They help us regulate. They bring us back to what is real, what is true, what is ground. They're not glamorous. They probably don't market very well, although I hope I'm marketing these pretty well today. And they're not coming in shiny packages, but they work. That's their magic. And I think that's part of what I want to say in this episode. The basics are not basic. They are sacred. They are vital. They are essential. And they are available to us. So I want to come back here for a moment to this thread about connection, because I really do think one of the great losses of modern life is that we are moving more and more into this anti-human future. We're increasingly replacing human to human connection with human to technology connection. And again, I say that with some nuance, right? There's layeredness to it. There's a lot to this. Technology can be very helpful. It's not an either or. AI can be helpful. There is support here. There is reflection. There's language and access. But it is not the same as the real stuff, and it is not the same kind of nourishment. It's not the same as being with another human and feeling seen by real eyes, or being touched by someone, or experiencing presence and patience and humor and tenderness, honesty, love, all the good stuff that we are able to give one another. There is a kind of nourishment that only real relationship provides, and it's to be witnessed and to be felt and to be interrupted. We're going to get interrupted, and that's okay. We're going to be inconvenienced, and that's okay. We're going to be misunderstood, and then we're going to have the opportunity to repair, and that's okay too. We're going to laugh until we can't, our bodies are able to relax and soften. Craig Brummel can do that for me in an instant. I can just completely relax because he can make me laugh. My kids make me laugh on the regular. Think about crying in the presence of someone who stays, who's with you. All of those things are with another human. And that is nourishment, my friends. It's real, it's ancient, it's biological, emotional, spiritual. I think one of the quiet dangers of this moment, we are beginning to confuse access with intimacy, and frictionless with what friction is with real human to human relationship. Because when we can access something immediately, instantly, we can access support and information and language. We can't access intimacy in the same way. That requires work. It requires investment. It requires time. And being responded to is not the same as being related to. And being helped is not the same as being held. And given language is not the same as being loved. So understand again and again and again. The body, the spirit, the mind. The body knows the difference. The heart knows the difference. The soul knows the difference. Okay? Habit 9. Practice brief, chosen discomfort. This is a really good one, and I love this one. And this can look like cold rinse at the end of the shower. I know a lot of people are like, absolutely not. That is a no-go. And I'm like, give it a try, even for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Maybe it's a walk when you don't feel like it. Maybe it's putting your phone down or on Do Not Disturb or on the shelf. Maybe it's telling the truth when it's not so convenient. And maybe it's sitting with the feeling instead of numbing it. Maybe that's where the discomfort is for you today. But the deeper principle, it's the same, my friends. Practice small, chosen, kind of microdosed discomfort. Because discomfort is where so much of our growth lies. We keep reaching for the thing that makes us comfortable in the short term. And then what do? We wonder, why are we feeling weaker in the long term? Why are we not feeling as nourished and we're more depleted? But when we practice staying with a little discomfort, and we practice that on a regular basis, what do we build? Self-trust. We build trust in ourselves, and we remember we can do hard things. We can stay present. We don't need to act on every urge that we have. Imagine that. Discomfort is not the danger. And in fact, it's information, it's data. It may actually be the doorway. So start to notice that for yourself, because remember, freedom often lives on the other side of the thing we keep trying not to feel. And whatever we're avoiding, maybe today's the day you go through. You hit it. You go through head on. And whether it's 10 seconds of cold water or not reaching for the scroll the moment you feel lonely, the practice is the same. You stay, you ground, you breathe, you be with what is here, and you build the muscle. And you do the reps, and you practice again and again, rinse and repeat. And that builds a human. And here we are at habit 10, the last one of all these very wise, I think, habits that we can start to implement, because guess what? They're free. And this one's free. like every other one, which is move for 2 minutes every 30 minutes. Now, that's for me, I can't do that, but when I can, I will do it. And when it's going to be an hour between when I move my body for 2 minutes, it's going to be the hour, or it's going to be 2 hours, but I will move my body at the end of a meeting. And I love ending here because it is so practical and so hopeful. Tiny movement, repeated often, and a reminder that small things, my friends, matter. You do not need to reinvent your life overnight. And you do not need a dramatic overhaul. It's not all or nothing. And it's not becoming this new, improved person by Monday. It has nothing to do with that. You need small acts of participation. You need to stand up, stretch, walk around the room, go outside, interrupt the pattern. And I want you thinking about this emotionally too, because if you've been in your head for hours, take a moment to interrupt it. Interrupt that pattern. Create some space. If you've been scrolling too long, interrupt it. Put the phone down. Get outside or take a walk for 2 minutes in your house. If you've been rehearsing fear or resentment or helplessness, guess what? You get to interrupt that too. Shelve it for the hour. None of that. I'm going for gratitude. I'm going for hope. I'm going for what is, right? What's possible. 2 minutes. It matters. A breath, a pause, a choice. It's a pattern interrupted. That is what creates possibility, a new possibility. And so much healing, my friends, is micro, it's small. And so much change is humble, repetitive, and daily, consistent action. And that is the very good news because it means the medicine is at your fingertips. It is near. So what are these 10 habits really about? I'm going to quickly share my thoughts on this. They are about metabolic health, yes. And that physician from Stanford, she knew her stuff. She knew what she was talking about. But I think they're also about this: returning to the body, returning to rhythm, returning to nature, and returning to what actually nourishes us, what is true. And they're about remembering that we are living organisms, not productivity machines. We are the body. Know that the body has the wisdom. It knows what to do. But when it's overwhelmed on a constant basis, it's just doing what it's got to do to keep up as best as it knows how. It's always trying to work for homeostasis, always trying to go for what is healthy and well. But it can't get there if we're not helping it. And it's about remembering that many of the things that heal us cannot be bought in the same way that they can be practiced. That's the part I keep wanting to reiterate because we are always looking for the next thing. We're believing the answer is outside of us. There's a better thing, a faster thing, a more comfortable thing. And meanwhile, the fundamentals, they're sitting quietly in the corner saying, hey, come back. Come back to light, to food, to sleep, to movement, to truth, to what is real. And maybe that's the invitation here. Not shame, not perfection, not another program to fail at. Just remembering. So what if the healing is not in adding more, but in returning to what is real? What if the body is not broken, but asking for partnership, for being heard, for being listened to, for being regulated, for being tended to and honored? What if the nervous system is not malfunctioning, but is overwhelmed? It needs help to ground, needs help to get back to breath. What if the many answers that we are seeking outside of us are not expensive? They're not hidden. What if they're already here? So maybe today, you don't need to do all 10 things. You choose one. It's all good. Take the walk after lunch. Go outside in the morning. Eat one real meal or one more real meal. If you're already eating one, you can maybe do two. Put your phone down. Do it sooner tonight. Go to bed a little earlier, maybe. Stretch between meetings. Try a cold shower or at the end, maybe even for 10 seconds. It is invigorating. So start where you are. Let it be simple, humble, honest. Because the things that support a good human life are often not flashy. They are rhythmic, embodied, relational, ancient, free, and They work. They work, my friends. Your body already knows so much, and your nervous system knows how to repair when given the chance. You are not broken. Your body is not broken. Your humanity is not broken. Come back to the basics. Come back to what nourishes, what regulates, what restores. That's where it's at. And that's part of the medicine. And that medicine, my friends, is often closer than we think. So much love, and I'll see y'all next week.